for on second thought, taking my hat off for you. Thanks for tuning in today or watch it on the internet.
All right, what we're going to talk about today is the Continental Congress, 2009. Not to be confused with a constitutional convention. They're entirely different things. The founders, after years of petitioning their government for a redress or a remedy of their grievances, getting nowhere, in 1774 they decided to send a few representatives from each of the colonies to Philadelphia to talk about their issues of the day and to decide on a course of action. They did not go to Philadelphia to declare their independence. They did not go there to sign a declaration of independence. They went there merely to talk about their grievances and what might they do about it. Of course, we know that 2 years later, that group of men decided to separate from the government of their day, the tyrant of their day. We think we've reached that point. You'll see why. We think we've reached that point here in America where we have been petitioning, we have grievances, we have government violating the Constitution routinely, doing whatever it wants to do, regardless of what the Constitution mandates or prohibits. And they are acting as though and transitioning us from a constitutional republic to a democracy, where if we don't like what's going on, just elect somebody else. But we are not a nation ruled by man or whim. We're a nation ruled by the rule of law. So we've reached that point, and where it's time for the people in the 50 states to send up to 3 delegates to Philadelphia later this winter to discuss the problems of our day and to settle on a course of action. So we call the gathering, the upcoming gathering in Philadelphia, a Continental Congress. We're not there to amend the Constitution. There's nothing wrong with the Constitution. We're not there to recommend changes to it. We're there merely to defend the Constitution that we have. This little booklet, I'm sure many of you have seen. This one happens to be, it's the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. This one happens to be published by the Cato Institute. It's got a nice preface by Roger Pallone. But there are other booklets like this put out there that are circulating around. I think Ron Paul's group has one out, and the John Birch Society, and so forth. The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence are the founding documents. They are inextricably intertwined. You can't talk about one without the other. The Declaration of Independence is the charter. It's got all the essential principles. And the Constitution is the bylaws. The founders would not have given us this wonderful system of governance, unique in all mankind and in the entire history of the world. No other country has come close to having the kind of system that our founders designed and put in place for us. They would not have given us this system with all these guarantees of rights without giving us some way, some legal way, some constitutional way, right in the Constitution itself, to hold the government accountable if the government steps outside the boundaries that we have drawn around its power. They would not have given us this system without also giving us some way to hold the government accountable, legally and constitutionally, and without putting it in the document itself. There are 2 accountability clauses. The first accountability clause, the one that we have been focusing on for a number of years now, is the last 10 words of the First Amendment. The First Amendment guarantees, the first accountability clause is right in the First Amendment. It's a right that's guaranteed, along with worship, speech, press, and assembly. We have the right to worship freely. We have the right to free speech, freedom of the press, and to assemble as we're doing here today. We also have the right to petition government for a redress of grievances. Redress means remedy. You can use one word or the other, it doesn't matter. We have the right to petition the government for a remedy of grievances, particularly violations of the Constitution, and government has an obligation to respond, and if they don't, then we have certain rights, as you'll see. So that's the first of the accountability clauses. We're going to be talking now about the meaning of the accountability clause, the first accountability clause, the one that you find in the First Amendment. This PowerPoint presentation you'll find on our website. I'm going to skip through the early part of it, the part that has to do with my background, how it is that I come to be here today. I will answer all of your questions, any question, before this session is over. I'm going to go through these real quickly. I'm now 69. I've been defending the state and federal constitutions now for about 30 years. Had a lot to do with getting freedom to fascism off the ground and running, and helping Aaron decide to undertake the project. Okay, we're talking about the right to petition government for a remedy to our grievances. And the only grievances we're going to talk about, we'll be talking about today, are violations of the Constitution. This is the First Amendment, probably the most important sentence in the entire Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. 5 rights guaranteed here. The first 4 have been the subject matter in lots of lawsuits. And we've gone all the way to the Supreme Court. So the meaning, the full contours of the meaning of those first 4 freedoms are pretty well defined. The rights of the people and the obligations of the government pretty well worked out and defined. The last right, the right to petition government for a redress, no court in the entire history of America has ever declared the meaning of the right to petition clause. It is the accountability clause. That's a clue as to why they haven't defined it. We have the right to hold the government accountable. And if it was to be recognized by the government, what a tremendous shift of power from the government back to the people where it was meant to be in the first place. So that's probably the reason why you find government doing everything it can to avoid declaring the meaning of those 10 words. So where do we go to get a clue as to the meaning? Let's start with the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was signed in 1215. At that time, in England, by the king. At that time, the monarchy had absolute power. It could do no wrong. You couldn't sue it. They were God's representatives on earth. But then there was a confrontation at a place called Runnymede. And there were the barons confronting the king. And of course, behind the barons, there were a lot of people with pitchforks, so there was a little bit of a threat there. But nonetheless, the king signed the Magna Carta. It is the cradle of liberty. The Magna Carta is the cradle of liberty.